Today we're going to be looking at money mindset of rich online coaches, and I want to make something abundantly clear. I haven't always had this figured out by any stretch. In fact, I had a very terrible relationship with money for many, many years, but it wasn't until I met my first mentor, someone famous that you may actually know, who I'll come on to in a second, who completely turned my world upside down when he introduced a new pricing structure that he wanted me to use for my services. So I'll get into that story. But I want to start kind of at the beginning, because really our money mindset is formed in our early years. Our money mindset is often dictated to us by the relationship that our parents had with money. So if you're watching this video now and you feel like you have a poor relationship with money, and I'm going to talk about how that presents itself in a moment. But if your parents had a bad relationship with money, perhaps it was always scarce, then there's a good chance that the way that you perceive money now is downstream from the way that they behaved around it. My story personally, I grew up in council houses, right? We had zero money, ever. The saying that my mum used to always say was, we don't have a pot to piss in. So that's a very British saying, but that was the mantra in my household. We haven't got a pot to piss in, right? I then joined the British Army when I was around about 18 or 19. And at my peak, I was earning about £2,000, British sterling pounds per month in the British Army. So not a huge amount of cash. And most of that was spent on the lash with the blokes, getting pissed up and all the rest of it. So I wasn't ever really, from money. I never really had money as I was growing up as a young man. When I left the military, I very fortunately got myself a job working at a really not a famous gym, but a well-known gym in the fitness industry called Grenade Fit. And this was opened up by a guy called Jay Alderton. So some of you may know Jay Alderton. He used to go by Grenade Jay. Great guy. Taught me a lot. And as I said previously, was probably my first real mentor. And he was basically my boss, and I was starting a brand new personal training business in his gym. And he told me that he wanted me to charge £1,200 for a block of 12 training sessions with my clients. So think about this, right? I was a young guy, grew up without a pot to piss in, earning £2,000 a month at my peak in the British Army. And then I start a brand new career, my own business for the first time. And my mentor tells me that he wants me to charge my clients £1,200. That was a very difficult pill for me to swallow. Fortunately, because I was just off the back of coming out of the military, I very much had the mindset of just do what you're told. Okay, just follow orders. Somebody who's done what you're trying to do is giving you the path, just walk the path and do it. So I kind of put up and shut up, and much to my disbelief, I had lots and lots of clients who would regularly pay me £1,200, i.e. £100 a session for those PT sessions. They didn't stay at that price, actually. They did end up coming down slightly, but not because people wouldn't pay, for other reasons for which I won't go into. But that was my first introduction into money mindset as an idea and as a concept. And it really shook my universe, because everything that I thought I knew previously had been turned upside down, okay? So how does poor money mindset manifest itself in a coaching business? So if you're an online coach watching this, what are some of the telltale signs that you potentially have a poor money mindset? How does it show up in your business? Well, number one is the obvious one, is that you undercharge, right? You kind of have an idea of what people are charging in your niche, and you are at the lower end, maybe the middle end of that. Okay, so undercharging is the most obvious one. Another one that often gets missed is over-delivering. And over-delivering can be mistaken for thinking, well, isn't that a good thing, right? You go above and beyond for your clients. Yes. If you go above and beyond for your clients in that you provide the best possible service that you can, you try and do the best by them that you possibly can because you want to be the best and you're motivated to give them an amazing service, that's fine. But if you are replying to client messages late into the evening, all over the weekend when you're not supposed to be. You are giving additional calls or additional support that wasn't part of your agreement because you're worried about losing the client, because you have the fear that the client is going to ask for a refund or whatever it might be around money, then that is over-delivering because you have a poor relationship with money, and that is completely different. Another way that it shows up in our coaching business is discounts. So if you're somebody who regularly catches yourself offering people discounts, or maybe getting into a sales conversation with an idea in your mind as to what you're going to charge, and then the number that comes out of your mouth is something else entirely, then that is often because of poor money mindset. Fear around price increases. So knowing you need to increase your prices year on year or quarter on quarter or whatever it is for you specifically. Maybe you have a mentor or a business coach who's telling you to increase your prices, but you are reluctant because you're scared to. Fear around money mindset is an obvious downstream effect of poor money mindset. Fear around price increases. And then the final one is just fear around talking about money at all with prospects, with leads, with clients. If you have a barrier around speaking about money, then that is, of course, downstream from having a poor relationship and mindset with money. So let's dig into this further. What is the impact of undercharging in a coaching business? Because I think when you understand this, you then start to buy into the importance of fixing your mindset with money, which I'm going to help you to do in this video. So the impact of undercharging is, number one, and most importantly, unrealized gains or potential. So think of it like this. There are two universes. One universe where you charge what you charge now, and another universe where you charge what you're worth, okay? Those universes are running parallel to one another. Now, the universe where you're charging what you charge now, your life looks exactly as it is. You're making the money that you have, the money that you make, the amount that's in your current account right now is yours, the car that you drive, the house that you live in, the holidays that you go on, the savings that you have, the investments that you make. In the parallel universe where you charge what you're worth, you're driving the car that you love, that you've always wanted to drive. You're living in the dream house, in the dream location. You're going on the most luxurious holidays. You're investing in your family's future. And life is all that you could hope it would be. So that person is you. It is within you. And it really just comes down to your ability to have the mindset to charge what you are worth. So unrealized gains is the biggest negative impact of not charging your worth in your coaching business. The second thing is lower perceived value as it relates to your service. So let me put that in layman's terms, and I'll give you an analogy. If I went into a watch shop, I'm wearing a Rolex now. Okay, this one was actually a gift from my wife. If I went into a watch shop and I saw two luxury watches, and I couldn't see the prices on either of them, but I liked the look of both of them. And I called the store clerk over and I said, I love both of these watches. How much do they cost? One of them was £1,000 and one of them was £10,000. Immediately, the one that is £10,000 becomes more attractive. My perception of the quality of that watch goes up instantly comparative to the one that is £1,000. I automatically assume that it's made from rarer materials, it's made with more precision, it has more prestige, it has better brand, it's going to give me more status. I immediately start to look at the £10,000 or $10,000 watch in a better light than I did previously. Nothing changed about the watches, just me knowing the prices. There was actually a really fascinating study done with wine tasters. Now what they did is they lined these wine tasters up and they made them taste 3 bottles of wine with the labels showing on each of the bottles, okay, with the prices on the labels. And they asked them to score the bottles of wine in terms of which they thought tasted best. And 89% of the tasters said that the wine that cost the most, as per the label, was the best tasting. What they didn't realize is that all of the wines were actually completely the same. There was no difference between the wines at all. The only thing that the testers did, or the experimenters did, is change the label to make it look like one was more expensive than the others. Okay, so it's really fascinating when we look at consumer mentality and psychology around pricing. When something is expensive, we perceive the value to be higher, and conversely, when something is cheap, we perceive the value to be lesser, right? Yeah, you've probably had it before. You've gone to buy something on Amazon and you go, and it's really, really cheap. You go, that's a bit too cheap. I think that's going to be crap. I'm not going to buy that. I'm going to buy the slightly more expensive thing. Okay, so we actually, as consumers, have a tendency to want to lean towards slightly more expensive products and services. But on the business owner side, as the coach, we often lean towards undercharging because we think that that's going to be best for our clients and customers, and it's not. The third and final downside of undercharging is that your clients have less skin in the game. Okay, there's an old saying, when people pay, they pay attention, right? And you will find a direct correlation between how much your clients pay you and how much they listen to you, how much they implement, and that will obviously have a downstream impact on the kind of results that they get when they work with you. So this is really important stuff. And that third point is really important because this kind of proves the idea that charging more for your services isn't just this selfish endeavor. It's not just about you making more money. When you charge your worth, your clients get better results as well, which blows people's minds, okay? But I want you to remember that. Okay, so let me just get this last page up, if I can. Here we go. So on this last page, I want to show you how to charge your worth, nice and simply. So let's break this down. Number one, know your market. Know what people in your niche are charging for services like yours. You have to do market research. You have to know what the upper echelons are of what people charge so that you can aim towards it. If you have no idea about that, then you're just kind of aimlessly putting a number out there and hoping for the best. You could be right at the lower end of what people are charging and you could be none the wiser. And there could be so much more capacity and ability for you to earn and lead that life that we spoke about if you just know what other people are charging in your industry. The second thing is to deliver quality, right? When you have conviction in your product and service, when you know that you've spent the time, the effort, and the energy on the back end making what you deliver to your clients absolutely world class, you can increase your prices and charge your worth with absolute certainty. You know that your product is incredible and that is reflected in your price. And then thirdly is have a proof folder on your phone. This was actually a piece of advice given to me by my mentor, Tom. He said, load up a folder on your phone with tons of images, videos, screenshots of client testimonials, results, messages talking about how much they enjoy your program, how much they enjoy your service, the results that they've gotten. And just look through it regularly and remind yourself of the life-changing results that you get for your clients. Because what that ends up doing is giving you conviction in what you do. And when you have conviction in what you do, you can charge what you want, okay? The reason that people undercharge is because they don't have confidence in their ability to get results for their clients more often than not. So when you remind yourself with a proof folder of just how good you are, it enables us to charge what we should be charging. And then fourthly and finally, increasing by a little feels exactly the same as increasing by a lot. So you might as well take a big leap, right? Let's just say, for example, right now, your current package is $400 or $500, okay? If I said to you, I want you to increase your prices to $700, that will feel like a huge jump. You're going to have this feeling in the pit of your stomach, or maybe a tightness in your chest. Maybe you start to sweat a little bit. Maybe the thought of having the sales conversation the next time you do is a little bit overwhelming for you. You're going to have a set of feelings when I ask you to make that jump from 400 to 700. If I tell you to go from 400 to 1500, you will have the exact same set of feelings, but the potential upside is so significant that it cannot be ignored or disputed. So I often believe that if you feel like you've got a bit of a poor relationship with money, rather than making tiny, small incremental jumps up each time in the price ladder, just make one big jump, because otherwise you're just going through that same set of feelings and emotions every single time you make tiny movements to your pricing, which really don't move the needle for you or your business. So if you're going to do this and you're worried, make a big freaking jump. Just make a big, huge jump, double, triple your prices. I know it sounds ludicrous me just saying this and pulling this out of my ass. I'm saying this on the basis that you're already significantly undercharging, right? That's why you're watching this video. Make a big, significant leap and just go through those sets of feelings and emotions once, but have the amazing rewards on the other side of that. So that is it. Hopefully this kind of mini training video has been useful for you. I'm going to be doing lots more like this where I just put a couple of ideas on the board and speak through them candidly. And I will see you on the next one. Peace and love.